This part of lesson 6, we're going to talk about drag only video and audio into sequence and also playback resolution. So, continuing on with what the book wants, it wants us to move our playhead in our timeline to 25 seconds and 20 frames. So you can scrub over till you get close. And then you can use your arrow keys if you missed it to go left or right to get it right on the spot. Okay, so that was just before he takes his pen out, and then we're going to be using the mid-suit clip in the source monitor. So that would be this one right here. Double click it, and it wants us to go to 1:15:54. Okay, and we're going to add an in mark, so I on your keyboard, and then we're going to add an out mark at 1:15:56. And then O on your keyboard. There we have our little clip set it up in our source monitor. And then it says on the timeline track headers, we can adjust to, we want to drag our source V1. So this here button right here, I don't know if we've talked about this in previous chapters, but this is going to tell it which video track to place something on. So we want to move this to our video 2 track. And we don't need to do anything with the audio because for this here, we're only doing a video. So up here in our source monitor, you can see that we have a film strip looking icon and a waveform audio icon. We've known that these serve 3 different purposes. One is to switch back and forth between the video or the waveform in the source monitor itself. You can also, if they're both highlighted like they currently are, that means this clip has both audio and video to go with it. If they were grayed out, that means it might only have one or the other. And you can also use these to drag them into our sequence. So the book is wanting us to drag the film strip icon from the bottom of the source monitor onto the program monitor. So I'm going to left click and hold, drag it over here, and it wants us to release it on top of the override option. So down here, this one right here, and we'll let go. And notice it now put it on our video 2 track because we had specified that in our source parameters down here in the timeline. All right. And then it says play your sequence from the beginning to see what you have. It's off to a good start. And of course, you can do additional editing, and we'll get more into that in lesson 8. All right, so the other thing that the book is talking about is changing our playback resolution. So as you've played through this here video, we're actually viewing it at 1/4 of the resolution, and that's because it's always talking about your graphics card and all the taxing work that the footage does on it. So if you're working with HD footage or 4K footage, some of this stuff is important to understand. So both in your source monitor and your program monitor, over here to the right corner, you'll see these 1/2 mentioned. That is when you're playing in your timeline or in the window itself, at what resolution it is. So right now it says it's at half resolution, but that is 1/2 vertical and 1/2 horizontal. So it's actually only 1/4 of the resolution. The book is wanting us to play it this way. So you can go ahead and do that, then set it to full, and you play through it again. And then after that, it wants us to change to 1/8 resolution. Oh, and it also wanted us to open the clip Snow 3 to do this. So let me go ahead and notice that this was grayed out in this one, and that is because this here is not a 4K clip. The Adobe Premiere is smart enough that if it gets to a point where it doesn't benefit us to go any smaller with the resolution, it's going to want us to just leave it at one of the options that we have. So let's go ahead and find the Boston Snow bin right here, and it said to open Snow 3 clip. All right, so we can do it up in this one. So I'll set this guy back to half. All right, so it wanted us to play through this at half, and most of the details you'll notice probably in the trees as they're moving. Play it again at full, and it looks very similar. But now you can choose 1/8, and as you play through this, you'll see that there's a lot more pixely or moiling effect in the trees because the resolution has been reduced. So there is a dramatic difference when we're at 1/8 of the resolution. The next thing it was talking about is some of this detail, especially with like the tree branches or when you have text up there, you'll notice that's where you see the differences. All right, so it also says to choose 1/16. This is a piece of 4K footage, unlike the stuff that was over here, so we do have these options to choose. So it's still beneficial for us to drop the resolution. And this is just a compromise as far as being able to play back at a better speed with your computer system versus it trying to chug and play the higher resolution quality. One thing you notice as the clips do stop, and go ahead and set this back to 1/2 now. But as you stop, the clips always come back into full resolution, and that has to do with our settings. So the little wrench guy, you can choose this here, and it wants to talk about different settings as far as your playback resolution, so you can change it here as well, just like we did from that other drop down. Paused resolution, this is at full, and most editors will keep it at full because when it's stopped, you want to have a clear understanding of the frame that you're on so you can make changes, especially if you're working with any sort of effects, because you want to see the quality or the edges of those things. So you can change it if you need to, but usually paused resolution, you do want to leave it full. Wanted you guys to be aware of where those are. And also keep in mind, no matter what you have your playback resolution set at or your paused resolution set at, when you go to export your timeline down here, it does not affect the quality of it. It's going to export the high-res quality of the images, and that will take a longer time, especially if it's a 4K piece of footage and your computer might not be as strong. But so these here settings as far as resolution are for you to work efficiently. It doesn't have anything to do with the export when you bring out your end file.